What's up, team? This is Rut. I just want to give you a heads up. If you got any small children or sensitive adults in the room, this podcast has some pretty extreme explicit language like and or and. So if any of those words get under your skin a bit, you might want not to listen to this one. But if you don't mind words like or then tune in because you're gonna laugh your ass off.
Team Never Quit. Team Never Quit. Team Never Quit Radio.
You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight, and in this corner we have the Wizard. In this corner, coming back as a heavyweight contender and former UFC champion of the world, Marcus the Lone Survivor Luttrell. And me, myself, in my own little corner, I am coming back to you once again in a new dynamic fashion and manner, David Rutherford! Now are you ready? Because tonight is the main event. We are live. How was it, dude?
That was intense.
I can't believe you didn't pop an aneurysm.
Dude, that was awesome. Now I know why Bruce does it, dude. That felt great, dude. I gotta tell you, I'm on a whole new kind of high right now, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you've seen it live, right?
Yeah, he's one of them guys, man, you can feel it. Like, I don't care what you're doing, even if it's on the TV. When he goes into that, you know something's about to be a fight.
Well, dude, walk me through your whole thing when you were there with Matt. You went to the whole deal. What did you feel? And then I'll share you mine when I was with Stefan.
You're talking about from walking down the tunnel?
Yeah, everything.
If you've been in a fight, or if you're a fighter, even when you're walking down the tunnel, you see him getting ready and all that
Energy.
Yeah, bro. When you break through that curtain, it's like, come on. God. And the walk for those guys, I'm telling you, that was intense.
Hey,
and
man.
especially if your opponent's already standing there looking at you, right?
Oh, totally, bro.
Like, it's on now. I mean, all bullshit aside, we're about to get it on right now. And as soon as you walk in that gate, and after the first punch is thrown in any fight, it's on, right?
Yeah.
All that other stuff goes away. But just, man, that's what makes them pros and professionals. Just to step in there, do that walk and step in there was insane. And then on the sideline, I'll never forget. It was Matt. It was Matt Saragans was fighting Matt Hughes, man, and me and Mike Tyson were sitting beside each other at the ring, and he was just cheering for Sarah, and I was cheering for Hughes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a dang. By the time I was done, my voice was as high. I was like, I yelled out. We were standing over the top of each other, and every time they would go back and forth. I mean, it was fun, man. I enjoyed that immensely, man.
What a trip, dude.
It's insane. It's so intense. Then stepping into the ring, when he won, I can't believe he did let me do that with him.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Matt, thank you again for that, brother. And I know you're going through your healing process now. You got hit by a train.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But he's doing better.
God bless
him.
him.
Back. Yeah, he's tough. Hell, the old train couldn't even kill him.
That's pretty. My experience was similar. It wasn't as big a fight or anything, but being there and working with Stefan, my job was actually to help him get back in the ring. He'd gone through some challenges, and I remember being in the back and feeling it build as his fight was coming up, and then getting in there and walking down that tunnel and the energy of the crowd. And man, it's a beautiful, amazing thing. And I think one of the, just my hat's off to all the fighters that are out there, and whatever you're fighting in, whether you're the guy I roll, or who my master trained me, Renato Tavares, and him doing in the world champions and IBJ, FFF, JJJ, whatever it is, that, or it's the UFC, or it's professional boxing, man, it really is amazing. And when you think about it, as the bigger it gets, the more intense, the spectacle of what the theatrics involved. I mean, God bless Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather for what they're getting into. I mean, this is amazing.
You're talking about when those guys get in there, it's not who the better fighter is, who makes the mistake. I mean, it's literally a chess match. Some guys are so good. And my favorite is when, in a cage you may be a badass, but this is a street fight. I'd whip their ass. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, you won't. No, you won't. No, you wouldn't,
no,
buddy.
No, you won't.
Because I'll tell you this right now, they got to follow the rules in the ring. They get outside the ring and there's no rules, man, they get all kinds of creative with the crap they can do to you.
It ain't pulling the haymaker and that spinning roundhouse that they don't even know where it's going, right? Well, to take this to the next step where you can actually we are so privileged and so blessed this week to have this man take time out of his, I can't even imagine how much stuff he has on his plate, what he's got to do, how many phone calls a day, the magnitude of the McGregor-Mayweather fight is the biggest pugilistic event in human history. And our guest is at the top of that food chain on making it come to fruition. And now, before I cross over and jump in, we start talking about a little bit about him, I first want to give a shout out to the man that made it possible, and that's Mr. Lex McMahon, who runs Titan FC down in Southeast, man. Lex is a former Marine tours to Somalia. I mean, this guy is a dedicated guy helping veterans, but man, we were together and he looked at me, because I had a long time said, hey, Lex, man, would you mind if, because Lex used to manage like 40 fighters in the UFC. Would you mind if could you text Dana sometime to see, and then I just dropped it. I never brought it up. And then we're out together a couple weeks ago before I came out, and dude, he goes, hey, bro, look at this. And he shows me a text. And it's him, and I see, hey, my good buddy Dave Rutherford, he does a podcast with Marcus Luttrell, another Navy SEAL. They got a great thing. Would you like to be on the show? They'd really like to have you. And then one word answer, yes. And he goes, here, dude. And he's the one who got us Missy Franco, too. I go, dude, who's that? He goes, that's Dana White. I go, what? And then he goes, yeah, for next week. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. So, dude, Lex, thank you. You're the man. All right.
Yeah, you are, buddy.
Dana White. What, in your mind, Marcus, makes Dana White?
He's sure knowing what he stands for and found what he loves to do, right? And turned something which only a handful of us kind of entertained in the beginning anyways. Right. The first UFC, to take something.
Blood sport.
Yeah, exactly. It was, man. It was just kind of get in there and to see what it was and the opportunity that he had with the Fertitas when they stepped in. What, $2 million? They bought it. I think they bought $2 million, right?
They bought it for.
And to turn it into what it is and how it's grown and just the fans across the board. I mean, you got people who don't know the first damn thing about fighting. They'll be watching this fight. They'll show up to it. I mean, it's.
Oh my God, yeah. I remember being a junior guy in the teams and those coming out, man, and we were all like, yes, finally something that's true combat, right? I mean, it was infectious, bro. And I remember Dan Severin used to train in San Diego. A bunch of dudes from the UFC would down. A lot of team guys would train.
Well, back in the day, it was that age-old question. It was the matchups that you always talked about, but you never actually saw. And now you got Kung Fu versus karate. You've got sumo versus jiu-jitsu. That was fascinating.
It is fascinating. The dynamics. Who's better? You know what's even more intriguing to me, though, about it is that because of the concept of thrusting these styles together, right, in this cage, which is so cool in and of itself, all of a sudden, what happened? They started to discover what works best.
I was gonna say it evolved.
Exactly.
All those years of everything from boxing and all the headbutts and this is better, that's better. Who knows what's this, that, and the other? Man, put it together. Megan, let's just see,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's the same kind of deal. I think of our tactics.
Genius. I love that
You know what
said
I mean?
that.
The parallel there, you can't ignore it. But from when we really got started with everything back in 2001 until where we are today, the progression, the evolution, the distilling down of what is effective and the hard truth of what's not effective, and eliminating
Bro,
that.
I was a baby, a product of that, dude. In 1998, 99, we were still doing land warfare stuff that was reminiscent from the Vietnam War, bro. And,
Because there was no significant period of trial by fire for it, right?
exactly.
Long gap.
Exactly, dude. And I remember it was like you'd get the one platoon from the East Coast that maybe, doing an op in Bosnia. You might get the Team 3 platoon that took down
a ship takedown, VBSS, something like that.
Yeah, they're like, dude, they took a ship down. No shots were fired, but dude, they did it so awesome.
At first deployment, after 60 of them, be like, I don't want to ever do another one of those ever again.
and for me, what it was about it was the allure of that. But it took a guy like Dana to really see the potential, I think, and to be able to navigate and guide this, right? Remember, the big thing was getting approval by all the commissions and that it was too gory, it's too bloody, fans couldn't, it was too violent, all this.
Never be a woman in the UFC.
All that.
I mean, everything has changed and evolved and quickly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. John McCain, I believe, called it human cockfighting back.
That's like, for us, that'd be like a badge of
major
honor.
backlash.
Was it
against
Bill
it.
O'Reilly? Was everyone?
Everybody,
man.
Cretans and the Neanderthals beating each
Some
other.
kind of, this barbaric sideshow spectacle.
And now,
How they viewed
and
it.
now the biggest pugilistic event in human history, and Dana is very significantly responsible for making this happen, for turning the UFC into a $4 billion business that they sold recently, but he's still involved. And to bring this thing to fruition, man, it's like it's the next evolution of it, right? It's finally to say, all right, and granted, listen, I love the purity of boxing. I think it's wonderful. But, man, what a glorious thing that Conor has the chutzpah, the cojones to get in the ring with. I mean, Marcus, you were saying Floyd Mayweather's quite possibly one of the best boxers ever.
Yep, I agree. He's been around. Be a good one. I mean, anybody can talk all the crap they want about Floyd or whoever, man, but hey, look at that record, right?
Record speaks for itself.
Everybody complains about how he fights. He slips back in the defense as soon as he starts taking some heavies. Man, that's a fight is, you're going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to whip that. You know what I'm talking about? That's the thing that blows me away.
I was horrible at defense. That's why I got beat up a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to be beating. I'm not going to be hitting you with my face. Remember that movie? He's like, yeah, man, it looks like you've already been in a fight. You face hurt? I ain't going to be hitting you with my face. What a great line.
Awesome, dude.
What I think is so cool, doing the research and studying up on him, is you've got this dichotomy of a guy who, when we all know people that are in the fight game in that world, they all have this survival instinct.
Good
That's
point.
just endemic to it. There's an intensity. There's an aggressiveness to it that you have to have just to exist in that world. But then obviously you can't be a knuckle dragging fool and build an organization like that. So he's had to exist in it by having the one, but also has to be an intelligent
business acumen.
Businessman.
I mean, it is because
Same time.
I mean, remember when you're trying to do sporting events and you're getting 2,000, 1,000 people in a, that's tough. You're grinding, man. it wasn't like it was Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, the first fight, right? I mean, he had to build this business. And it's still a grind. I mean, you like right around the corner where I'm from is American Top Team. It's one of the top training facilities.
I love them guys.
They're phenomenal. But I go in there with Lex and we watch these fighters and they're grinding these kids for their one crack, one shot, just to be seen, just to get it. And everybody is thinking that. Everybody is in the grind. And that's at least for me why I am so fascinated before. When I was into teams before, I was like, I love the combativeness of it, the warrior culture. I love that. And I think there's an assimilation between us and them. And I think that's why we can hang out with them and get along. But now it's really from a more mature perspective that here these guys are dedicating their lives and Dana's giving them this vehicle for and to prove themselves mano a mano against another man to see if you have what it takes, Marcus. That's some cool stuff.
That's about as real and as primitive as it gets, right? Me and you, hand to hand, get in here.
And I think that's why you go to an event and they're different than in my experience, they're different than any other sporting event you go to. There's just something in the air that's that primitive intensity.
Presence of
death.
You
can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel it. It's a totally different environment.
That's why when somebody's whole face is split open, they're getting their head bounced off, and the dude's in the mount and just going ape, on his head, and you're screaming. You're like, yeah! You're unlocked of a primal place that every other aspect of our society, of our culture, is trying to suppress in a significant way. And I think because of that suppression, you're seeing, and I don't mean to get off on a tangent here, because of that suppression, you see a lot of unrestrained, misdirected violence happening out there. People are frustrated. If you had a greater place to redirect that violent thing that's in all of us, that fight or flight, that survival, the amygdala's firing, the limbic system going big.
That energy.
Yeah, that energy into a space like the UFC or regular, the WBC or all the other things. I mean, it really is healthy. That's like when I have young kids that are struggling to find their place stuff. Man, the first place I send them is to a jiu-jitsu joint. Go fight. Go test yourself. Go discover your self-confidence. And Marcus, I know you've been involved in martial arts
we talk
forever.
about that, my whole life. But people think in order to go to an MMA class to learn some self-defense, you have to learn how to fight and actually be that good. that you're talking about pros, man.
Right.
It's just a matter of you learn so much about yourself when you, not just the fact that you have to get into a fight. I'm not saying that, but when you can defend yourself, because you know what your body's capable of. You actually learn how much pressure you can take, how much stress you can take on your bones, what that can handle. And then the person across from you realize, man, it's not a monster or something that's going to annihilate. It's another human being. That in itself provides a level of mental focus that you don't have if you
Anywhere
can't
else.
do that.
Yeah.
I was scared. I mean, I'm not scared. Well, I guess I was scared. That fear, that
me too.
kind of deal. But once you
Absolutely.
kind of figure it out,
it propels you.
It does.
It propels you into the fight. And I think that's why, if you're listening, this is your first time to our show, thank you so much for showing up. You picked a doozy. I promise you that Dana White is going to blow you away with the way he looks at life, the way he attacks, the way he fights in order to do what he does and create what he has in the UFC. And you're going to learn a ton. Man, if you're repeat and you're coming back, man, stand by, because this is going to be awesome. I am telling you, I am so fired up for this show. It's perfect timing. It's going to get you fired up for the weekend, man. Listen, this is what it's about. This is the never quit attitude, man, at its finest. Figuratively, literally, getting into the fight. So if you struggle with that, if you're struggling with figuring out what it takes to be able to get up and fight for what you believe in, fight for what you have faith in, fight for those you love, this is the show for you. And if you want to know more, we'll see more of our shows or know more about us, go visit our website at tnqpodcast.com. You can listen to our shows there. All right. If not, and you want to do it on demand on your cell phone, go ahead and go to the iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play or SoundCloud. iTunes, just search Team Never Quit Podcast, subscribe, and you have us on demand. You can listen to me talk in your ear and rattle your brain whenever you want. You can get Marcus's pearls of wisdom and the wizard's genius any day of the week and twice on Tuesdays. All right. So are you ready, Wizard?
I'm ready.
Are you ready, Marcus?
I'm ready.
So let's get ready to rumble! Let's get ready! That's not even the right, dude. That's not even Bruce, is it? No.
Man.
God, what a horrible way to get into this.
Dude, are you
But
serious?
I know I messed up, and I met Bruce before. I feel
Give me something to throw
horrible
in
about
there.
it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
All right, so let me. I can't
You've
even.
done far better in the past.
I know I have, but I'm busting at the seams, gents, because this is a big, humongous deal, right? And I'm so fired up. Not only because this is the biggest sporting event in human history is coming up, and he's a part of it, but also because this guy he changed the face of sport as we know it. He changed the face of sport and combat pugilistic sports as we know it. And that fires me up, Marcus. Does it fire you up like it fires me up?
This was one of the guests. Remember, I said, I was like, hey, I'll know if we're doing pretty good if this guy shows up.
Right?
Yeah. Let's roll.
We had like 4 or 5 guests. We're like, all right, if Mark comes on, we're doing good. If we can get Dana on, we're doing good. And if we can get The Rock. So, Dana, you're number 2 in that hot top tier. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mr. Dana White, thank you for coming on, bro.
Thanks for having me, boys. I appreciate it. And what a great introduction. Hey, I
you
think
ain't
you
seen
can
nothing
say
yet.
let's get ready to rumble for this one because, we're doing a boxing match in 2 weeks. So we could say let's get ready to rumble.
All right, so I'll close the
You
show
know what?
with that.
Great point. No, that's a great point, man.
That's right. We are. We're blurring. We're shattering the lines right now. You guys are. I'm so fired up about that. All right, Dana. Before we get into the meat of the show itself, we always like to warm up. We like to hit the bag a little bit. Punch up our gray matter a little. And we start with something called the Mad Minute. Now, these questions in our world, like when we wrap up someone on our target and we need some more intel, we'll get some good questions in them and get some file on intel. No butt strokes here, but it's all about getting some good intel out here. So are you ready to go for the Mad Minute?
I'm ready. Let's do this shit.
Marcus, fire away, bro.
All right, brother. What was your first car?
A total piece of shit. It was my first car was what was it? I don't remember what make it was, but let me put it to you this way: it had a rust hole on the floor that you could actually put your foot outside the car.
Slow down. So you can slow down.
Flintstone in it.
Well, and also be able to
exactly.
drop your beer out if the cops are pulling you over. Right.
You could actually crawl out and get out if the police pulled you over.
Trap door.
It was your own escape hatch. I love it, dude. All right, Wizard, fire away.
All right, in a fight to the death, a domestic house cat and a 1 foot tall gorilla.
I'm going with the gorilla.
It makes more sense. Although certain house cats can get mental, if they've been cooped up or beaten at all.
Oh yeah, but gorilla. I don't care how big the gorilla is. Gorilla strength. I'm going with the gorilla.
I love it. All right. Best vacation destiny on the planet.
Bora Bora. 100%. Bora Bora.
I love that place. Even though I've never been, I love that place.
Trust me, it's incredible.
Anybody who's been there says Bora Bora, dude.
It is beautiful.
So it's where they have those huts in the water,
oh, yeah.
right? You literally open your back door and jump in the water. It's incredible.
Oh, that's it. I'm going. All right, go, Marcus.
All right, what was the last thing that you did or that happened to you that you were glad no one was looking?
Oh, shit. Let me think. The last thing that happened to me that I was glad nobody was looking.
I just had one. That's why I brought this up.
I'll tell you what. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head like that. So the weigh-ins. We do the weigh-ins in the public. So we were doing weigh-ins for a massive fight. Stadium is packed. People are going crazy. It's on TV. I start running up the stairs, and I missed one and literally face planted on the stairs.
That's what I'm talking. That's the stuff I'm talking about.
The whole world. I literally just laid there for a minute and said, "Holy shit, this just happened." The whole place was cracking up, busting up, laughing, and I did a push-up, got myself back up.
My man, I knew you did the push-up. I knew it.
So I didn't have one where nobody was watching. The world was watching when I did it.
Yeah, that's a whole new level.
Get that push-up in there. Down here anyways.
I'm good. All right, I love it. Wizard.
All right, if you were forced to tattoo something on your forehead, you've got no choice. But you're able to pick what it is. What would it be?
That's tough.
Tattoo something on your forehead.
Forced to tattoo something on your forehead. You can pick what it is.
That is a tough
I would
one.
probably put "fuck you" on my forehead if I had to pick it. Listen,
Death dealer, God sent me or something like that. Something to just really keep people at bay.
You don't give a shit about anything if you're getting tattoos on your forehead. You might as well go all the way.
That's one of those things, muscles, scar.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter how tough, everything you do to look tough. When a dude strolls in with that one, he's had a rough time.
That's full commitment.
That's
That is
it, bro.
full commitment. All right.
Exactly.
You've got, what's one thing on your bucket list that you want to bang out?
I love how that sounded.
Is that the question like it sounds?
Listen,
You feel free to answer that question
you
however
can
you
frame
like.
it any way you want, Dana. I think you know what I meant.
Oh, that's funny. It's kind of weird. I'm not big into, I have friends that are celebrities and stuff like that, but I'm not into the celebrity thing. The only guy on earth that I would love to sit down with, have lunch, talk for 45 minutes, an hour, and it's the one thing on my bucket list, the only thing that I really care, I'd like to meet Clint Eastwood.
Oh, dude.
That would be cool.
I'd love to pick his brain for an hour.
Can you imagine that? A guy that his career has expanded, has been as expansive as that, and the movies. I mean, to be sitting across from Josie Wales would be, you're right, that's epic.
I got a chance to meet him, too. Not spending any time, but same thing in my head, because that's what rolls. I mean, hell, he's been with us our whole lives.
Right, exactly. And I don't want to just meet him and shake his hand. I want to sit down and I want to talk to him for an hour. You know what I mean? I just want to talk to the guy and do a lot of listening. And Clint Eastwood's getting up there. He's in his 80s now. So it's just a bucket list. That's one of my bucket list.
That's cool. That's good. All right, Marcus. Last question. Fire it away at him, bud.
And that was just, I've been thinking about Clint. I want to be sitting, I'd like my bucket list is to be sitting behind you listening as well.
Eavesdropping.
All right, what's your favorite superhero, brother?
My favorite superhero is Deadpool.
Awesome.
I dig that. For sure.
And I'm convinced that that's him in real life. Like, if he had those superpowers, exactly how he was acting. He nailed that role, boy.
Ryan?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, he was born for that.
Do you know the story of that? Do you know the story of Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool?
No. Please tell.
So Ryan Reynolds is a huge Deadpool fan, right? Now, I don't know if you remember in, I think it was the Wolverine X-Men, he played Deadpool.
Right.
And it was a weird version of Deadpool, and fans of Deadpool went crazy and were blasting him, and he was so bummed out by it that he went to the movie studios and he wanted to do Deadpool, and all those movies, the budgets on those movies are like $250 million, and nobody would give him the money because they said there's never been an R-rated superhero movie and we don't think it'll do well, right?
Right.
So he's out there, he's working. Finally, they gave him $65 million. They said, here's $65 million, go make it. He made Deadpool. The movie made almost $1 billion. So he killed it. He killed the character. He killed killed it at the box office. And, it just took Ryan Reynolds to a whole nother level in Hollywood.
Well,
throughout the film, the nuances, like, it was like we couldn't get any more X-Men out here, or the budget or something. When you were telling us that, man, I mean, because I have a little
snarky comments.
Yeah, a time in that world too. So I kind of when you can pick that stuff up, those little quips, man.
Well, my favorite part is that he nailed the whole special ops mentality. Because that's us, dude. Yeah. We are a bunch of snapperhead assholes to people every chance we get. But we also like to kick ass, right? So that's what I loved about it. He crushed that, man. That's awesome.
That movie was incredible. Made that movie for $65 million.
That's even better. That's even all right. So that is the Mad Minute, Dana. Thank you so much. But let's get into why we're here and why people come. We have listeners all around the world that are sitting there wondering how they're going to move into that next place where they can really face adversity, overcome obstacles, have their ass kicked day in and day out, but still stay in the fight. And so if you could, Dana, would you please share with our listeners your greatest never quit story or stories?
I would say, obviously, one of the greatest never quit stories for me is building the UFC and being involved in the UFC, and it still is today. I'm still involved in it. You have to, every day when you get out of bed, you got to be ready to kick fucking ass. Every day you get out of bed, because no matter what you do in life, or life throws shit at you every day. Every day, life tries to make you quit. And if you're not the type of person that just gets up and eats that fucking shit for breakfast, it'll eat you alive every day. All the little things in life will eventually, bust you up and break you down and make you want to quit. But if you truly want to be, happy, and by happy, I think that when you're successful and good things happen to you every day, those are the things that make you happy. You have to get up and you have to fight. You have to fight every single day. I am so focused. Listen, I mean, people call me all the time and say, I just made a lot of money. When the sale of the UFC happened, but I made a lot of money before the UFC sold. They're like, how do you get up and go to work every day? How do you get up and do this? Number one, because I love to compete. Number two, because I love to win. And number three, because I love to kick fucking ass every day when I wake up until I go to bed at night. That's why.
There's a pattern there. Is there a pattern there?
There is. It's a definitive pattern. What I want to know, Dana, is when did that start in you? I mean, was it something that you were taught, were you nurtured in the ass-kicking mentality of parenting? When did it start, and when did it start? Like, I mean, that's passion I'm hearing in your voice, which I love. When did it start?
So my last real job that I had, and by real job, I mean where you drive into work in bumper-to-bumper traffic every day, you go into a job that you hate just for a fucking paycheck. And I was 19 years old. I was working at a hotel in Boston. It was a great job. I made good money. I had benefits. I had all the things that you're supposed to love, in that job. Mm-hmm. But I was standing around in there going, what the fuck am I doing here? This is not me. This is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And, unless you take risks, life is all about taking risks. If you're not truly able to get out and take a risk, there is absolutely no reward in life, and it's a fact. So for everybody who's sitting in a mundane job that they absolutely hate, get up, get the fuck out of there, and go do something you love. And probably one of the dumbest ideas in history, I walked out of this job when I was 19 years old, and I said, I want to be in the fight business. I don't care if I make any money or whatever. I want to be in the fight business. That's the dumbest idea ever, right? It's just, people looked at me like, holy shit. Yeah, good luck to you, pal. Have a good one. And I literally went out, and every day when I got out of bed, I focused on learning as much as I could about the fight game, about the business, and getting involved. And, obviously it worked out for me financially, but I never got into it for it to work out for me financially. Financially was never the plan. If that's what I was in it for, I might as well just stayed in the hotel. I was 19. I made good money. They had a 401k plan. I had great health benefits and all that bullshit. But that's not what I was in it for.
Yeah, when you live your life and see what you want to do and you follow it, the money is the byproduct.
Exactly. That's exactly right. The money happens. If you do what you love to do and you do it better than everybody else, the money just happens.
Dude, I remember at the 8-year mark in the teams, I was making $32,000 a year, and I was happier than shit. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I'm getting paid to do this."
Yeah, because everything we do, you can't put money into that, right?
No.
You have to physically get out there and get in it and enjoy it, and that's the same thing with the fight game. And that was an interesting point because a lot of people are scared to leave something that they're comfortable in to chase a passion that they think they know that they'll love, and he nailed it with the risk.
The risk
life
component.
without risk
You're
is just,
absolutely right. There is no reward in life without taking risk, you know. And at the end of the day, what you really want out of life, you know, everybody says, "I want $1 million. I want to be rich. I want to be famous. No, you don't. You want to be fucking happy. At the end of the day, you want to be happy. It's the most important thing in life is to be happy. The most important thing in life isn't to be rich. The most important thing in life isn't to be famous. It's to be happy. And when you jump out of bed every fucking day and you're like, "God damn it, I can't wait to get to work," you're fucking happy.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
My dad would always say, you want to get out and you make $1 million, what are you going to do with it? You get out and you make 1 million memories and you save $1 from each, right? And then when you get there, you go back and live out the good times, the good memories.
I love it. Look,
Guys, think about this. Some of the happiest times in my life, I was fucking broke.
Oh yeah,
I was flat broke, and I look back on those times in my life. Some of the happiest memories I have are when I was hanging out with my friends, doing what I love to do, and I was broke. Money had nothing to do with it.
I love that.
Always the good time when you're out there and you're poor with your buddies and you're doing what you love, man. It's kind of funny. The money just, man, we had enough to have the good time.
It doesn't matter. It becomes irrelevant. One of the things, like we had Peter Berg on, and I want to just change to go back to that position where you walked away, you got in the fight game. We had Peter Berg on, and he talked about going in the movie business and doing every single job, whether it was the shit jobs or whatever, and learning the business. Can you describe, as you walked out of the hotel and you picked up, what was it you did and what did you have to learn in order to become who you are today in the fight business?
What he said is exactly right. I did everything. First of all, I fought. I ran a gym. I worked corners. I carried spit buckets. I refereed fights. I did everything that you could possibly do in the fight game to learn every aspect of the fight game. And there's a guy named Peter Welsh in Boston, Massachusetts, and he was like a legend as far as fighting went. Boxing, and he was a street fighter. He used to fight in the streets all the time, all that shit. I didn't know the guy, you know, and he's a scary fucking dude, right? So I went out and found him. I was chasing this guy all over town. And finally I caught up with him and I said, "Hey, I know this sounds weird and crazy, but I want to get into the fight business and I just want to learn everything you got to teach." He fucking brought me in and he was like my sensei as far as the fight game went. This guy took me under his wing and taught me everything. And then when I ended up leaving him, I came back to Las Vegas and jumped back into the fight business on my own. I started managing guys, training guys, and all of that stuff. And, you know, that was basically my road to getting here. Believe me, there wasn't a lot of money. There wasn't, you know, all the things. But I'm telling you, every day I went and hooked up with this guy, I loved it.
Well, that's one of the coolest things, I think, about the fight game. And I have this very small, I got a little window, you know, Lex hooked me up with Stefan Struve when he came back in and back from his injuries. And I remember being in Arizona for that UFC bout. And I remember seeing, man, the determination and the grit and the pain and the process of getting there for all of these guys. What I'm hearing for you, it's across the board. It's everybody involved is fighting to make it happen. It's
like a cultural thing.
It is a part of the culture. Can you describe why that culture is so critical in the fight game?
Yeah, it's just, well, let me put it to you this way. There are, and I'm sure you guys know guys like this too. So fighters have a different mentality, okay? They're not built like the rest of the, population. They're completely different, man. They don't care about a job. They don't want to sit in cars and go sit in fucking cubicles every day. They want to conquer. They want to train. They want to test themselves against other men and women who have trained just as long and just as hard as they have, and they will walk into a fucking cage or a ring in front of the whole world and let it all out right there and throw down, when you win, it's the highest of highs. When you lose, it's the lowest of lows. There's a very small, I was talking about this with some people earlier. This guy's like, man, for $1 million, I'd get in there and fight him. No, you fucking wouldn't. You wouldn't do it for $1 million. Shut the fuck up. You're absolutely wrong, and you're full of shit. Because everything it takes to get up to that moment where you walk out of that fucking tunnel, get locked into a cage with another man, and you're about to fight in front of 20,000 people live and millions of people on the rest of the planet. No, you wouldn't for $1 million. That I promise you. Because these people are wired and built different than everybody else on earth. And it's the same thing. So I'm very into military and law enforcement. Cool. We support them big time.
Oh, yeah.
Financially, me and my old partners, the Fertittas, have donated millions of dollars to Wounded Warriors and the Fisher Foundation. The Fishers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, we've been big donors, and I've donated lots of money here locally to the law enforcement. And so I went down to the Fisher House, and I've been to what's the place out in on the East Coast where you go in and you visit the wounded troops.
Like a Walter Reed?
Walter Reed.
Walter Reed, yes, thank you guys. Walter Reed. And I went in to this room, and this guy was an amputee. And you're not going to believe it, but his name is fucking John Wayne. And
wow.
He was sitting there with a, he's an amputee, and he had a prosthetic. And his wife, beautiful woman, and his 2 daughters, beautiful girls, are sitting on the floor, and this guy's telling me stories about being there. He's like, I'm going back. I'm fucking going back, man. Let me tell you what, you can kick fucking doors in with one leg, and I'm going back there, and That fucking guy was put on this earth to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people like to talk tough and all this other shit and fucking How many fucking guys want to go back with one fucking leg over there to the Middle East and fucking go through that shit again? Very few fucking people. That guy was put on this earth to do that. Fascinating. When I meet people like that, I'm super fascinated by that.
Well, I can truly attest to the how much you guys do for the military. I've seen it. I mean, right when I first got out, the Fertitta, if a lot of people don't know who they are, if you do, well, that's good. You should, man, because they're awesome. Those guys, man, they're top. I can't say enough about them, man. They've done so much for me and my family and for our organization, and so is Dana and what they do, and it's kind of the behind the scenes. Hell, with the fights, man, they throw them on the bases for us. And in that world, in the collective, like we say, man, it's 1 degree difference from what the guys who are in the cage and what we do. I mean, they learn how to fight with their bare hands. You don't think we can teach them how to fight with a weapon? And I mean, they are the weapon, right? When you put something in their hand, that's just an extension of it. And to walk out of that tunnel, I've got a chance to do that with Matt and a couple of guys to head into the octagon. I was so stressed out, and I wasn't even fighting. Let me tell you something, man. That is some juice right there. You train the whole time just to get the stones to walk into the cage. Because you're in there, you know how to fight, right? That's there. It's a chess match. Who screws... Dana, if I screw this up, please tell me I'm wrong. But, man, that's some weight, boy, when you're standing in that tunnel. I mean, because you're staring at that guy. And when I was walking in with him, I was looking at the other guy, too. And I was like, whoa. We're fixing to fight, man, and everyone around is. I mean, that crowd, it's just like when we were growing up, man. After school, if there's a fight going down, it's that same energy, man. But these guys can get it on, dude. And
oh yeah, that's why guys who say they'd fight anybody for $1 million, they're full of shit. They have no idea what they're talking about. It's like, that's why the whole Hollywood scene, all these pussies out in Hollywood drive me crazy, man. These guys that support all this other bullshit but don't support our troops.
Yeah.
You know, let me tell you what, when shit goes down, those are the fucking pussies that are going to be the first ones, you know, fucking crying and running to somebody to protect them. Bill Maher? Bill Maher's going to go protect this fucking country? You know what I mean? This fucking guy's going to go protect. I have so much respect for you guys that have gone out and fought for this country and protected my little punk ass so I can sit over here and live my life that I live. You know what I mean? I have always supported. I will continue to support, and I will always support as long as I'm alive. I have so much respect for you guys and what you have done and what you have sacrificed, and just some of these fucking cowards in this country can never even begin to imagine.
We appreciate that, Dan, and thank you so much. I mean, that means a ton coming from you. And as you know, you've talked to enough of us. You've been around. Man, the UFC provides us with just endless source of entertainment and excitement. We relate to it.
They train us, man. The fighters
come.
Oh,
no, they're down training.
I know, man. You let some of your fighters come train us.
The kids I mentored just went through. There's 3 UFC fighters down there training. So we appreciate it. I want to switch gears a little bit because one of the things that when you know, as you're in the fight and you grind it out, you learn all the jobs, but then you get to the successful point. You know, I think there's a misconception that you gotta, you know, that there's a plateau and then you stay there and you can just chill or relax or whatever. But that's when you gotta fight even harder and push even more. Can you describe what that means for you, and then relate it to what you're doing right now in the Mayweather McGregor fight and doing one of the biggest sporting events in history?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, you hear the cliche all the time, but it's the absolute truth. Once you get to the top, then it's even harder. It's so true. Once you're at top, there's only one way to go, and that's down, man. So once you get to the top, you have to be, you know, just as good, just as hungry, just as willing to work hard, to hold the position on top. And it's whether you're a business, you know, and you're the best at what you do, whether you're a fighter and you're the best at what you do. When you're a fighter, everybody starts picking you apart. Everybody starts studying you. Everybody starts training every day just to beat you. And that's when you have to be on top of your game. And again, there is no reward without risk. Conor McGregor is the king of that. If you look at Conor McGregor, this guy is the biggest star in the UFC. He's going to go fight Floyd Mayweather at Floyd Mayweather's game, right? If Floyd Mayweather does not have the balls at all, or the willingness to take a risk to come into the UFC and fight Conor McGregor, he would never do that. That fight would be over in 30 seconds, and he knows it. Conor McGregor is risking everything to go into Floyd's world and fight Floyd at his own game.
Holy shit. Talk about never quit, man. I mean, that's it right there.
Now, Conor McGregor, I call him the unicorn. There's nobody like him in the fight game. I'm telling you, there isn't. And he's a special individual. And this guy has done everything he said he will do. And you know what he told me and told the rest of the world? He will knock Floyd Mayweather out in 2 weeks.
Danny, you say he's a special individual. Why?
Well,
can you elaborate on that?
He's a definite prize. I mean, they're prize fighters, right? Just the skill of being a pugilist to get in there and throw your bones around is one thing. Man, that gift of gab, that mental tough, just that whole concept, the flash.
He's got the whole package, man. First of all, he's great to listen to and talk. You know, he's the best ever when it comes to mental warfare on another fighter. Then when he gets inside the octagon, you know, he will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. Guys fall out in 3-4 days, he'll fight anybody. No fighter, they'll all talk, but when it comes down to an opponent falling out in 4 days, they'll pull out of the fight. They don't want to risk. They don't want to take the risk. I haven't trained for this guy. I don't know. Conor will fight anybody. Then the Floyd Mayweather stuff starts, and he's stepping into Floyd's world to fight him at his own game. It's incredible.
They're good at what they do, but you are too, man, to have made that happen. That's a big push on the back end,
talk
too.
about a risk for you guys as well, too.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tony came over back in the day.
Tony came over.
That is huge, man. That's UFC. That's all of us stepping into the ground fighters into the boxing world, man. They
seem like they're a little snobbish, Danny, like that they've had this, they're so protected, and now what's happening is these thugs, these knuckle draggers, these heathens, these these lower than low.
Right. These mixed martial arts guys. Yeah. They've always snubbed us. And let me tell you what, when I talk about risk and reward, right? Huge risk for Conor to go in here, but the reward is obviously he's going to make a shitload of money on this thing. But the real reward is when he knocks out Floyd Mayweather, greatest upset in the history of sports, and he is the biggest athlete on this fucking planet.
I love that, man. And can you just, so for our listeners who may not understand, where was Conor McGregor 5 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, Conor McGregor was fighting in small events in Ireland and was trying to make ends meet. We're putting out this video where Conor McGregor, his tweets from 5 years ago, all the things he was tweeting that were going to happen. Dana White, you're going to see me and you're going to find me. You're going to bring me into the UFC. I'm going to be a 2-time world champion. I'm going to beat this guy, and that guy. You should see the stuff that he was saying 5 years ago. It's incredible.
Now, when do you, I mean, obviously, I know I watch that. I love it. I mean, it gives me energy. Because I know the magnitude of this. There's a tremendous amount of pressure. I mean, this is the biggest pugilistic event in human history. How do you manage all that? Is it with the same, I'm going to wake up and fucking kick ass every day? Or, man, what do you do to just get pumped up to bring this thing to fruition? Because it couldn't have been easy.
First of all, the last thing you need is more energy. Second of all...
it fires me up. I can't tell you. I watch the videos of you guys out there, and I swear I'm screaming at my screen like, yes!
That's funny. Yeah, no, I love it. I love the fight game. It's what I've always loved since I was a kid, and I'm just as passionate about it now as I was ever. And that's just my mentality. When I get out of work every day when I get up out of bed, I go to the gym, I work out, then I come into the office and I'm just ready. I'm ready to win. I'm ready to win every day. And winning means whatever needs to be won around here that day. I look at everybody as competition. On Saturday, I have to get you guys, your wife is competition for me. I have to get you to not take her out on Saturday night and stay home and watch a fight. Whatever the next big movie is that's coming out, I compete with that. I compete with whatever you guys have to do on Saturday night.
Hey, that's no joke. You need to see what goes on behind the scenes. That's the craziest part about it. Like when he says he started at the bottom, cleaning the buckets and all that, man, somebody else still has to do that. And behind the scenes, I mean, it looks like chaos and madness from the weigh-in. I mean, he's got to be in charge of the fighters, the celebrities, right? I mean, just deal with them down there in the pit, getting them to sit wherever they want to sit. And then this guy's in the wrong one, then you got whatever going on, and dealing with the fighters. And then obviously the crowd, when they're coming in, they get jacked up, man, and it runs smooth.
It's the greatest show on earth, Dana. You are putting on the greatest show on earth, bro. And that's just awesome.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. But you know what's true? What's true is when we're talking about being the guy that cleans the buckets, everybody starts somewhere. Nobody, is born, into knowing everything about everything. Even if you go to school, right? Let's say you go to Harvard and you graduate with honors from Harvard. You still have to start somewhere. You still have to learn and start from the bottom and work your way to the top. And if you can figure out something that you love so much you would do it for free, Then you just got to get out there and figure out a way to make a living at it. You get out there, you start at the bottom, you learn everything about it. You get up every day out of bed ready to kick ass and to win. I just see so many people these days that I'm going to get into real estate. Then they get into real estate and they think that they're just going to start selling fucking 400 houses a month and it's going to be great. No, you have to get out of bed and work every day. Everybody wants to jump out of bed and do real estate because they think it's easy. Nothing in life is easy. Everything is hard. Everything is a battle. And you got to get up every fucking day and fight for your life every day.
Love it.
That's it. That's all there is to it right there, brother.
When you boil it down.
It is. And Dana, one more time, man, before we let you go here, we really just want to say thank you to you and what you've done for the industry, for the world, and pulling the UFC into what it is for sport. For sport itself, you have changed the face of pugilistic sports, and man, we are so grateful for your energy, your kick-ass attitude, and your commitment to this, man. We just thank you, and thank you for sharing with our audience, brother.
And I want to thank you for protecting this country and allowing guys like me and many others who do what they do and love what they do to be able to do it and be safe. Our families be safe, and much respect, much love. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate guys like you.
Awesome.
brother.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
gracious.
Well, good luck this weekend, man. Keep it up, and we're pulling for Connor.
Can't wait.
God bless you, pulling for you, brother. God bless you.
Thank you. Have a great day, boys.
Yeah.
Take care, dog.
Brother, I tell you what, if that isn't one of the most zero foxtrot guys I've ever met in my life, dude, I don't know what it is, man.
It was interesting watching you two guys go at it with the tempo. Because even he was like, I don't know if you get much more fired up than you are. And I was like, damn, Dana, brother, yeah. You know, you're in that realm too.
Oh, bro, you heard it.
Yeah.
He just started clicking. And I loved what he talked about too with Connor saying, you know, he'll fight anyone at any time. I mean, that's bold, right? I mean, would you, like for us, I think about
That's like extreme moxie swagger that, well, remember when we talked to Pat McNamara just recently? That was a big part of his recipe for success and improvement. Believing, carrying yourself as though you can accomplish anything. And that's what I heard. I mean, I think Conor McGregor is probably a very extreme example of that.
I mean, he's the ultimate.
But that's what I thought of when he mentioned it.
That's a good analogy. I mean, Pat did say that. I mean, he was like,
But, hey, let me tell you something. Both them, Floyd Mayweather is the best at it too. There's a reason he's been around for a long time, 49 or 59-0, and
oh, bro,
man,
he's one of the best fighters of all time.
Absolutely, prize fighter. That guy can stir anybody up, man. And then you get McGregor coming in from the other side. So this is a big deal.
It's
What I
massive.
think is so
crossing
interesting.
the
This
streams.
This is finally like a proof of MMA and boxing head to head, real time. Here are two of the top dogs in the game, and they're gonna go at it. Thinking of that, back to where UFC started, like before Dana and the brothers got involved in purchasing it and converting it into like a legitimate sport from what it was originally, which was, from what I understand, it was almost more of a the age-old question of like the age-old question of who would win between kung fu and a boxer,
That's what
or
it was.
The boxer versus the fighter, the jiu-jitsu versus the whatever.
sumo wrestler
Right.
versus.
No, I remember first one. I remember when Gracie won because everybody's like, wait a minute. What just happened? Why is this dude in
Chemo
this,
came
like,
dragging that cross in there
Right?
on his back, man, and just that first UFC,
It was
man, it was
awesome.
it was epic.
But like to your point,
the conversion.
the
from-
conversion into the legitimized, one of the most fastest growing viewer sports in the world, man. Like you go look at the stuff that's going on overseas in Europe, the crowds they're getting at these stadiums, and I mean it's blowing up around the world. So I think, you know, the concept that really stuck to me is taking risks, and in your life, and saying, hey, I've always wanted to be a part of that. or man, that's really fascinating to me, and man, that sounds so cool, but I could never do that. I could never be a part.
And not being afraid of taking advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself.
Which is huge.
Which is clearly, I mean, we didn't get in quite to the depth of that, but we know that, Dana, as he talked about, he learned kind of the whole game. And he was there when he got himself an opportunity and saw that, this is possible if I find the financing, that we could buy the UFC. And he took advantage of that opportunity where a lot of people would have found an excuse not to take that risk.
That's kind of the human condition, right? And that's what we're on the show to help people realize.
Man, it's just one of them deals where we've heard it over and over again. If you want to do something, you want to be something, go over there where everybody else is doing it and just stand around it and just start watching. Right? It starts even with just that. Ask that guy to help you out. If he says there's somebody else who does. Ask them. Eventually, somebody's going to pony up if you bother them enough, right? The squeaky tire gets the grease. And you hear these guys who come in and have to start at the bottom like that who become the greatest because they just work their way through all of that.
They didn't take no.
It's not the guy you thought would come in there or whatever. It's, man, all of a sudden, well, who is this? And he's just come to find out, been here forever, knows everything about a little bit about everything.
I love the concept of he went and found the guy he had the most respect for in Boston, and he said, "Will you mentor me?" I don't think enough people out there have that focus in their lives, right? They're so focused on the monumental task of overcoming the doubt, the fear, that they don't realize you need that assistance. You need the guidance. So to come up into that one person, whoever it may be, and what's your dream or your purpose you think is going to be, and say, listen, Wizard, man, will you mentor me? Will you teach me everything you know about this? In the hopes that they say yes. And if they don't, go find the next guy who says.
It's basically the same thing you do for everything else. If you're educated, you go into school, you chase that university to get you this education. It's no different than chasing out an individual to teach you a skill set, especially if they've mastered it. And we're not talking about being a doctor or anything like that. Like, my neighbor was a great heart surgeon, man. We used to chin wank after work. I'm pretty good. I'm not talking about that. But it's kind of the... It was back in the day, man. The master craftsman and the apprentice, right?
Oh, bro, we were talking about last night. Remember, we were talking about when you find that one team guy that you relate to, and then they give it to you, and then you feel the responsible to pass it on down. And that's what I love about that. But that in and of itself is taking a risk too.
I see there's only two reasons why I think people don't take more advantage of that, and one is they don't understand the huge power of leveraging someone else's experience who's already been there.
Amen.
Right? Or two, they're intimidated and afraid to reach out to these people, and I think people doing that, they're going to find those experts or those people with that experience are a lot more amenable to saying, yes, I'll help you. I'll do that for you. You just got to approach them and ask, what do you have to lose?
I think you're right on it.
They're going to say no. So what?
Yeah, they say no.
What are you going to be embarrassed? Who cares? They're probably never going to remember. Why would you? I mean, just try again. Go back and go find every day.
Next person,
exactly.
Right? And I think there's a huge component, like you're saying, within the human condition that generally decent people who've experienced hardship or pain or had to sacrifice and so they want to share that experience. They might not want to do it on one of the top podcasts in the world, but what they want to do is share it in a meaningful way with somebody that has gratitude in their hearts and will take the information and apply it in a meaningful way.
In my experience.
Me too. You? Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, man, again, such an amazing thing. If you're listening to this show and this is your first time with us on the T&Q podcast, thank you so much. Again, hopefully you weren't distracted or offended in any way, shape, or form about the language on this show. It's not typical, but Dana's being himself, and we love that about Dana. Hopefully you heard the meaningful stuff that was coming out of his mouth. and that's what resonates in your soul. That's what stirs up and starts to apply that fuel, that fire in your gut that will help you start to develop your never quit mentality or mindset. If you're coming back, you're regular, we love you. Awesome to have you back, man. We just couldn't do this without you. You're the reason we're here. You're the mission, right? When the three of us to get together and we talk about bringing people like Dana White, and we talk about Pat McNamara, you're the reason we're thinking about it, is to apply some knowledge to your life to help you overcome adversity and stay in the fight. I mean, a lot of times we talk so much about, right, recovering from the fight, but I think really this one, it's apparent that, if you want to explore that never quit mentality, get in the fight.
Nice.
So, all right, on that note, I'm going to finish out with my typical thanks. I want to thank God and thank Christ. I want to thank my beautiful girls. I want to thank Dana for coming on. I want to thank all the people, all our listeners, man. Obviously, you're amazing human beings. We really hope and appreciate that you take this information and improve your lives. And I want to thank the two of you guys, not for so many different things. One, for your commitment to be fighters for this country. Two, for your commitment to do this with me and to do it for a bigger and a higher purpose. And just, three, for just being who you are, man, being my friend. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, buddy.
That was fun having him on. I enjoyed that, especially taking the time during the fight, coming out and promoting it.
Biggest fight in history.
Yeah, that was cool, man. Thank you, Dana. Thanks for coming on, and for everybody who keeps bringing us back. It's truly a blessing, man. I can't put it into words. And to the wife for letting us do this, right? So yeah, that's what I got, man. And again, thank y'all. I'm out.
Out.